From stupid criminals to smart billionaires. Donald Trump, welcome back.
Good morning.
Hey, first off, it's hard to get your eyes off the standoff between Russia and the rest of the world. How do you think our president's doing when it comes to squaring off with Vladimir Putin beginning this week after the horrific killing of 293 people?
Well, Brian, it's so obvious he's doing terrible. I mean, Putin is having a field day. He has no respect for the president, and he has probably no respect for our country. And it's got to change, and it's got to change rapidly. He's doing things that you just wouldn't do, but he has zero respect for the country. Now, I have to say that with that being said, Europe is doing nothing either, and it affects them far greater than it affects us. I mean, they're there, and Europe is doing absolutely nothing. Now, you could also say, why is the president getting Europe to act? And, you know, he's holding them hostage, Putin, by with the oil and gas. And they are really in a position where, you know, when you look at Germany, they're doing zero. When you look at other countries in Europe, they're doing zero, and we're doing everything. And there's something about that, you know, when we talk about taking over parts of Europe, that's affecting Europe a lot more so than it's affecting us. And they should be doing something, and perhaps it's up to the president to get them to do so.
Well, that would be refreshing, of course, for folks just getting up and were not paying attention to the news over the weekend. It was Thursday when Malaysia Flight 17 was shot out of the sky. You know, and they've been covering their tracks. It looks like, you know, we've seen the evidence that they took the missile launcher back to Russia. It was Putin's equipment and apparently Putin's rebels. There's chaos at the crash sites. The rebels with guns forced the rescue people to take on 196 bodies and put them on a refrigerated train. It does look as if they are trying to destroy the evidence so they don't incriminate the Kremlin. Donald Trump, you know what? Even though, and you've said our president is doing a bad job, listen to this soundbite. According to John Kerry, the Secretary of State, this administration has a great foreign policy everywhere.
I think the American people ought to be proud of what this president has done in terms of peaceful, diplomatic engagement rather than quick trigger, deploying troops, starting or engaging in a war of choice. I think the president's on the right track, and I think we have the facts to prove it.
Okay, is the president on the right track, or is Mr. Kerry living in a dream world?
Well, I'm sure the Secretary of State was just being sarcastic and having fun. I'm sure that was a comedy routine, and I'm certainly sure that he can't mean it. I mean, it's a catastrophe. You look, the entire world is collapsing around us. Now, how that affects us, time will tell. But, you know, we've had the worst year. From every single standpoint, we have had the worst couple of years ever in the history of this country relative to the world. So, I mean, I'm sure that he's kidding and does not mean it. So, I would imagine, Elizabeth, that today he'll issue a statement saying, I was only joking.
There you go.
Or perhaps this week he'd head to Hollywood. That's on his schedule. I mean, during a time of crisis like this, we know where we can find him fundraising for the Democratic Party. I mean, in the past 6 years, he's attended 395 fundraising events. For 2014 alone, he's averaging a fundraiser about every 6 days. I mean, during this time, with all that's going on, and you listed some of the crisis factors there, should he be doing this? I mean, on days like Benghazi, he was in Las Vegas the next day in 2012. You know, you look down at the border, invited to go see what's happening there with thousands and thousands of illegals crossing in here, some of which are gang members, and he doesn't get there. This is almost seemingly impossible to think that the leader of the free world is just having a party during a time like this. You said?
Well, incredibly, the other day when the plane had just been shot down and it was the big story and everybody, that's all people could talk about, I was landing at LaGuardia and the plane was diverted to Kennedy because LaGuardia was closed because Obama was here for a fundraiser that actually took place in one of my buildings, I'm very happy to say. So I wish a lot of luck to those people that had it. But it was a fundraiser. The city was in total bedlam. You couldn't get in, you couldn't get out. The streets were closed, the streets were blocked, and everybody was angry. And then they found out that Obama was here for a fundraiser. He actually gave 2 fundraisers. And it's just crazy. I mean, who would give a fundraiser the day the plane was shot down? It's unbelievable, and he gave 2. But I want to tell you, the city was in gridlock. The airport was closed, and all over a fundraiser. Interestingly, he raised $1 million. and it cost anywhere from $6 to $10 million. So you think they could make a deal with the government where the government would say, look, we'll give you 2, just stay home.
Well, it would, because it costs us,
terrible.
that costs us $6 million, and it gives the Democratic Party $1 million. There should be some type of rule about that at some point for any president to be using Air Force One going around for these fundraisers where it brings major cities to a halt.
But why doesn't he need a rule? What's behind his decision-making here to choose the party over just getting back and really taking care of work, or at least appearing to take care of work and not be focused on raising money?
Well, when you think, Elizabeth, a man spends $6 to $10 million to come in and collect $1 million, and that's the way our whole country is going, frankly, because that's our economics now. That's the economics of the United States. It's a shame, and it shouldn't be allowed.
Well, it's just the way the rules are written. But when you think about considering all the fundraisers, it does look right now like our foreign policy is speak softly and carry a big golf club, because if he's not fundraising, he's golfing.
He golfed this weekend.
Speaking of golfing, you've got a whole bunch of golf courses as part of the Trump empire. And tell us about that brand new hotel down in Washington, D.C.
Well, the old post office is probably the best location in Washington, right between the White House and Congress on Pennsylvania Avenue, and it's been a long process where the government was essentially selling it, and there were over 100 bidders, and they broke it down to 10, and about 2 years ago I won it. And we start construction of one of the great hotels of the world. I think it has a chance to be truly one of the great hotels of the world, located in Washington. A lot of jobs to build it, a lot of jobs to operate it. And we're taking this incredible building, really one of the most beautiful buildings in the country, and we'll make it into a magnificent hotel with the largest luxury ballroom in Washington, D.C. And maybe they don't have to have a tent anymore on the White House grounds. You know, I offered to build them offered to build them a ballroom, and we never heard back.
Right.
You know, I was going to spend $100 million to build a ballroom free for them. And because I see these tents when we have foreign dignitaries come in, it's not right.
Well, now you're building a proper ballroom for Washington.
We are building a proper ballroom, and we're building one of the fine hotels of the world.
So, Donald, when we go to the Washington Correspondents' Dinner or to a Christmas party, would you want to go into negotiations with us? We usually stay at the Hyatt or the George. Would you like to make us an offer to stay at your place?
Yes, I will, and I will tell you, there will be no hotel in the country like what we are building. It's going to be special. It's going to be amazing. Right. And by the way, that's why we were chosen. Trump was chosen to build it, because it was just better than any other proposal.
Your reputation, that's right. I think it's funny you say we actually stay at a hotel. We sleep on James Rosen's hide-a-bed. Yeah. Donald Trump, thank you very much. We'll see you back here next Monday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, it is 7:11 here in New York City on this